Hello again and welcome back to the garage. Now I've promised Mia a flower picture and I've got a blank sprayed up white that I've just done ready for that, but I want to let that dry nice and thoroughly before I start putting any artwork on it. So I've had this black, matte black blank sprayed up for a while with a particular little project in mind, so we can get on with that whilst we're waiting for the white on the flower picture to dry. And because it's been around for a while, the first thing to do is just to give it a bit of a clean with the tack rag. Now you might notice as well, I've made a little bit of an alteration to the easel. I've drilled a couple of holes and put these dowels through, and you can change these dowels out when you do a fresh painting, and it just stops the painting sticking to any overspray on this sort of lip of the easel. And I think that'll be a very helpful improvement. So anyway, this is my reference, and I think the first thing is to cut out the whole silhouette, and then we'll just give it a very light mist over in white, I think. Right, well the next job is to get that firmly fixed on the steel plate. As you can see, I've folded it over at the bottom so the paint can run completely off the bottom and we'll have no join or anything there. But I tell you, well, I've mixed up some nice brown which I think matches the sort of mid-tones of this, and then we can darker up the edges with a black and put the highlights in white, so I think that'll work. But let's give it a general all over bash with this to give us a better background. Well, I've put some black in with that brown in the airbrush, and I'll now do these little darker areas, see if I can ease them in around there and around there as well, and up there. I'll see how far I fancy going up here. Yeah, it's going to be tricky because I can't set anything out because it's too dark with the graphite paper, so I'm going to have to try and position it. I can use this as a reference. I can even take that off and put it on there to show me, so should be okay, I think. Righto, well it's 4:45, so I think it's about time to go and have some dinner, so we'll pick this up another day. Right, it's several days later and it's time to get back on with this portrait painting. Now it's alright, but I'm not really liking the highlights here. I tried to do them freehand and it didn't really work out, so I'm going to put the mask back over the black, and I'm going to go over there in brown, the same brown, and try and get rid of that a little bit, and then put it in again using a shield I'm going to make. Now again, this is proving a little bit trickier than I initially anticipated, and I think this is one of those pictures that could end up looking a bit silly if you get it wrong, so I'm wondering what the best thing is to do next. I've considered cutting out the eyes and getting the eyes in first. I've seen a lot of people do that in tutorials on portraits. They'll get the eyes located and work on them first. But I think what I might do to give myself a little bit more of a reference for everything else is to get the hair in first. I don't know, I reckon that might be a thing. So I'm going to cut the hair off of this shield bit, and I can put the shield in, give it a whiz over in black, and then try and put these various different highlights and texture-y bits in. Let's give that a go anyway. Righto, well now I'm going to attempt to add in the sort of highlights where the light is striking this, and to get some texture I might use the torn edge of a bit of paper perhaps to get some of this texture up here. Don't know, we'll give it a go, see what happens. Well, I reckon the next step is to cut out the whites of the eyes from this shield and pop them in, and then that'll give us a bit of a reference point to work the rest from. And don't forget, there's a selection of my airbrush paintings available on my Etsy shop. Just search in Etsy for Ttxela airbrush. I'll put a link in the description below. Well, we're getting there, I think. I think the thing to do now is probably the lips, so then that'll help us position the nose. And I'm going to do the lips in much the same way as the eyes. There's a lot of blurriness around the edge, but I reckon if we just cut out the outline, then we can maybe do, I don't know, maybe do an orangey sort of colour first and then tone it down a little bit and then put the highlights in. I don't know, I'm making this up as I go along. Well, I don't know, I reckon that's passable. I'm going to give it a coat of clear now. And there she is, up on display on the wall in the conservatory with some of the other pictures. Well, that's all for now. If you enjoyed it, press like. Subscribe if you want to see some more, and ring the bell to be notified when we upload something new.